today with a kind of exciting reading vlog that I didn't think I would be making, like at all. But basically, I read People We Meet on Vacation last year in like January-ish. No, not January-ish, April. Point is, I read it over a year ago. And up until that point, I'd only ever read Beach Read physically, and then I listened to the audiobook for People We Meet on Vacation. And I was underwhelmed, much like with Book Lovers, it just didn't hit for me. And so I did listen to Book Lovers again, and it didn't make any difference for me really, which was a shame. But then, upon reflection of Happy Place, I loved it. It was 5 stars, but I realized I still zoned out for a lot of it, and I fully grasped what was happening at maybe 30 to 40%. So I decided, instead of re-listening to People We Meet on Vacation, I want to reread it, and maybe in like 2 years or so, reread Book Lovers for a 3rd time, but physically read it rather than listen to it, to see if that makes a difference. Because I'm starting to think that Emily Henry is not an audiobook author for me. So I was thinking about People We Meet on Vacation, and legit just yesterday the mood struck and I was like, I want to read it. So I was like, I'll finish the book that I'm reading right now first, and then I'll pick it up. And then I thought to myself, you know what, no, I can read 2 books at once. I'm not even really enjoying the book that I was reading at that time, so having 2 to pick from would be nice, because then if I don't feel like reading that one but I feel like reading, I have a different option. So I ended up picking up the physical book of People We Meet on Vacation. This is the 2nd time that I am reading it, and I'm going to see if I like it more. I don't think I mentioned this, but originally I gave it 3 stars and I was just very underwhelmed and quite frankly did not find it memorable. There's maybe, as of before starting it, 1 part that I remember, and I don't even remember exactly what was happening. I just remember a specific kissing scene, and that was it. So it was not memorable. I was very underwhelmed. I didn't really like it. So I wanted to pick it up again and see if maybe I just went in with too high expectations last time, or maybe it was because of the audiobook. I do think from now on I will not be listening to Emily Henry books anymore. I'm just gonna read them, because 2 out of 3 books that I listened to was kind of a flop. That being said, I have at this point of filming already started it. I am about just over 50 pages in. I'm not exactly sure what page I'm on, but I am enjoying it a lot more. I do remember bits and pieces as I'm reading it, but for the most part it is becoming more of interest this time around, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than I remember enjoying it the last time I read it at this point. But I'm really hoping that this goes well. I'm really hoping this is a success, so that maybe in a year or so I can pick up Book Lovers again and reread it and hopefully love it. And I definitely want to pick up Happy Place and read it physically as well. I'm not exactly in a mood for it right now, so I was thinking maybe like January, February, around there. I want to read it a decent portion before her new book Funny Story comes out, because her books make me very emotional, so I don't want to read them back to back, and then I obviously don't want to compare them either. So I'm thinking maybe February. It's very pink. I feel like it fits the month. We'll see. Sorry if you can hear the lorry outside, but that is where I'm at. I'm very excited to go on this journey. It was very fun just picking up it like on a whim like this, especially because I have owned the physical book for 2-3 years now and I've never actually read it. It was a gift, but I just never was in the mood for it. And then when I picked up the audiobook, I was like, I just want to read it and get it. Like, I hate having unread books on my shelf. So yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. Wish me luck. I don't want to hate this for a 2nd time. Hello. So I actually finished People We Meet on Vacation. I forgot to do a halfway update, so sorry. But I have a lot to say, so I guess that's okay. I always have a lot to say though, so. What did I think? So originally, don't know if I mentioned this, don't remember, but originally I gave this 3 stars. I was very disappointed, didn't find it memorable, and honestly, when I picked this back up and I read it for the 2nd time around, I realized how unremarkable I found it the first time, because it was literally like reading it for the first time but just knowing a couple of spoilers. Like, that's how little of the book I remember, and I'd only read it about a year ago, so there was no reason for me to not actually remember that little of the book. So big yikes. However, I am happy that I reread it, and I'm very happy that I reread it as a physical book rather than an audiobook, because that did definitely help me get more in touch with the characters, understand them a lot more, and genuinely I found them a lot more likable this time around. I thought both Alex and Poppy were very annoying the first time. This time I get them, I understand them, I understand where they're coming from, their stories, everything, and I actually do find them very lovable, which is nice. The actual story I also did find very interesting and fun to read about. I loved all the traveling and seeing everywhere they go and all that, and the settings were very beautiful, and this is definitely a very good summer book because in the present timeline, I mean, if you've read it, you know, but it sounds awful. It is definitely a book that I'm happy I reread. Would I reread it again? Probably not. The reason I say that is because this book was still lacking for me compared to like Happy Place, Beach Read, and even though I didn't enjoy it that much, even Book Lovers. So this time around I did give it 3.5 instead of 3 stars. So I did enjoy it a lot more and I understood everything, but one of the ways that it was lacking for me is that in Beach Read, it's not just a romance story, it's also her dealing with grief and a difficult time and place with her and her mother's relationship. In Book Lovers, it's not only a romance, it is about her and her sister's relationship and a big change in their lives. In Happy Place, it's not only a romance book, but it's about her and her friendships and the people within that friendship group and how their lives have changed and evolved over the years and like the fear of losing that group. So a lot of people have said this. This isn't my own words, but I definitely do agree with it. Emily Henry's books feel a lot more like lit fic books with a very heavy romance subplot, which is why I feel most people love her writing so much, because there is a lot of depth to her stories. And yes, People We Meet on Vacation definitely does have a lot of depth to it. However, the relationship struggles are still between her and Alex. The entire story is about being in love with your best friend. So there is, at least in my opinion, there is no focus on anything other than the FMC, the MMC, and the relationship together, both as friends and as lovers, which isn't bad by any means. And I know this book is very well loved, so I'm not saying it's bad in any kind of way. However, it is just something that I personally didn't enjoy that much because it just kind of fell flat for me because it was just about essentially the romance, and really if they weren't traveling, nothing would be happening in this book except pining. So that's why, compared to all of her other books, I didn't like it as much because it's just very much couple centric, and when it comes to Emily Henry books, I enjoy it not being couple centric. So there is that, but not a bad book by any means. I know I've said that a lot, but I just want to emphasize that point. The other reason why I really can't give this book anything higher than a 3.5, and why, even though I understand the characters so much more, love the story so much more, meant so much more, the reason why I can't give it a better rating and why I can't love it as much as the other books is because if the characters just spoke to each other, this book wouldn't exist. I don't mind miscommunication tropes when they're done well. I don't mind miscommunication tropes when they make sense and it's not something used as a plot device, and it's something like it needs to feel real. I read for escapism, and that's why I'm very picky with rom-coms as of late, because I need something that's not like very evident and personal to my own life, because otherwise that's not escapism, which I'm sure a lot of people can understand. This book is entirely based off of miscommunication and the characters not speaking to each other, and that I found like incredibly frustrating. The first half of the book, it's not as bad, I want to say, but in the second half of the book, where the characters actually kind of like start to become more intense, start to act more on their feelings, things like that, it's just like, talk to each other, use your words, and it's just so frustrating because both of these characters are, I think, in their like early 30s, so it also feels very much like you're a grown-up. Like, use your words. You cannot be this bad at speaking. And especially considering Alex is an English teacher who has like a PhD in writing or something. It's like, you can't tell me that he's not good at communication. She's a writer. They just avoid speaking to each other, miscommunicate a ton, and it's just incredibly infuriating. And again, for me, a book is bad if the entire book is based off of the fact that they don't talk. Or not bad, but unlikable. And sometimes it works, because again, you know, it's just an opinion. I'm not saying this is like an exclusive thing, because there are tropes that I hate where sometimes I like, you know? The point is, the miscommunication trope in this is so large and so immense that without the miscommunication, this book wouldn't exist. And the miscommunication feels very unneeded. And I get that they're like scared to talk to each other because they don't want to ruin their friendship, but at the end of the day, it's just, I don't like it. I didn't like it. I wish there was like a different conflict going on or something that made it better, but yeah, I can't like the story the way that I want to, because everything could be perfect, but that miscommunication trope just irritated the absolute living daylights out of me, and I can't like it. I don't know, it's a shame. I was really hoping that this would be a 4 or 5 stars when rereading it, but the miscommunication is just too much for me personally. Again, sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't, and in this situation it doesn't, and it really does not help that I have Beach Read and Happy Place to compare these books to. Like, it's not fair on any of her other work, but it is what it is. That is how I feel. I am very happy that I reread it though, and I did like it a lot more. So despite how I feel about the miscommunication, this was a very successful reread, I do want to say. I definitely want to reread Happy Place before her next book, Bunny's Story, comes out next year, which I'm very excited for. So, we still love Emily Henry. People We Meet on Vacation is just not written for me, and that's okay. But, still very good. If you haven't read it, do recommend. Definitely do recommend. And every single other book that she's written, I also recommend, because she is a phenomenal writer. Let me know if you agree with my opinions on the miscommunication trope, if you've read People We Meet on Vacation. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. There is a fly. Thank you so much. Bye.